Clippers Thunder, second night of a back-to-back for the Thunder, which, this back-to-back stuff, I mean, it could have
No,
ruined
stop
Denver,
it.
Philly. No, I'm just
Stop it.
saying
It's not even a
it is
hard
a
back to
thing.
back
It's
when you're
on
in
the
LA.
road.
No, it's
On the
bullshit. It's
road.
in LA. They're back in there. It's not the same back to back as it is going Denver to Utah or something like that. It's
Sure.
literally you're in your hotel. You have the
Across the
choice
street.
to be in your hotel room immediately after you shower from the game. It is literally across the street. There's no travel involved. You could take the bus if you want, but it's literally just crossing the street. So it's like, well, I don't want to use that as the crutch for the excuse for the Thunder on this game. And I want to say they didn't need an excuse. They showed up
No,
too.
they were good. Yeah, it was a great game. It was back and forth. Sort of the forgotten guy. Paul George was awesome, and it's funny to say forgotten because he's been really good this year. But we talk so much. Kawhi is back and looking like Kawhi, and James Harden has been this new addition and has been such a, I think, key addition, really a missing piece. But man, Paul George, the second half of that game really just took over. And this is one of the reasons why I believe so much in the Clippers. And of course, we need to see it in the playoffs, and these guys got to stay healthy and all of the Clippers caveats that we can throw out there. But the chemistry, this is mid-season. This is the most chemistry that the Clippers have had that I can watch the game and I can say, wow, these guys look like they know how to play together. This is the earliest they've been at that point in this run with Kawhi and Paul George. I mean, they've just been incredibly healthy compared to normal. And then James Harden has just, I think, solved a lot of problems for them.
They've taken the season seriously. I think this is the first time since the first season that Paul George and Kawhi were together. They've taken it even more serious than that. But like this is kind of along those lines. Like Kawhi has barely missed a few games. When he's missed a game, it's been for actual injury and not load management and things like that. Like I think there is a genuine level of, hey, like we got to really figure this stuff out. And I was at the game last night and was talking with some people there, and it said the importance of having done that trade with, for James Harden on October 30th is so big because it allowed them to figure it out. If they do that trade at the trade deadline and they start out 0-5 after that, like the way they did with this trade, like you're really beginning to panic because you have 20 games left in the season. You're trying to they were able to stabilize after that. And I think what you're watching with this was just, they're all comfortable, all kind of understand their role. Even Westbrook coming off the bench brought a lot of boost and energy. Paul George was phenomenal. 3 guys, though, that need to be mentioned that nobody's going to even really kind of pay attention to. Terrence Mann, Mason Plumlee, and Daniel Tice were absolutely phenomenal in this game, doing all of the small things. I hate to steal a Docism, but they were stars in their roles, and they were actually great at what they did. Tice killed the Thunder on the boards.
Tice has been good for the Clippers. I don't know how much he was really going to play in Indiana. He's been a really good pickup, and especially now that Zoo's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks, it's crucial. And Mason Plumlee coming back right in time. Seth, the Clippers, I think that like the questions about them are very much going to be, what does it look like down the stretch of games? When they get into their ISO heavy stuff, what are the release valves going to look like? I think, Harden is the natural fit to me to kind of run that crunch time offense.
Well, it's also, I think that you get some easier sledding through the first 3 quarters of games that lets whoever's going to be the guy on the night. I
Closer
don't
by
think,
committee to
yeah,
a certain
little,
degree.
I mean, a little bit. I also, just we've harped on it, but the health. Those guys are right now. George and Kawhi are, I believe, 23rd and 44th in the league in possessions played. A year ago, it was something like 117th and 144th. So just the amount those guys have been able to be on the floor, and that both goes to what we've been saying about chemistry. And Mo, this is something you've been on for as long as we've been doing the show, is how the importance of, or the way they've hurt themselves by not developing that chemistry in the season. But that's just, again, it's a huge part of it.
All right, yeah. Well, you mentioned trading for James Harden early, and it got me thinking. We're in trade season. Oh, you got one.
We
You got
got to
another
talk
thing?
about the Thunder for a second.
Oh yeah, we do. We need to talk about the Thunder. Thunder in this game. Look, I thought Jalen Williams was excellent in this game. The defense was very keyed into Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and that happens a lot late in games, especially. Jalen Williams as sort of this secondary guy who Shai can actually play off of. It is going to be crucial for them. Shai hits a couple of these tough shots. It's a different ball game.
I would say this though, because Shai hitting tough shots is a tough diet to depend on
Right.
come
Yes.
playoff time, right? In that regard. This was a learning moment for him. I don't think he's there yet. I'm thinking about the playoffs. I'm not thinking about regular season. We've seen him do it in the regular season. Gets amped up come playoff time, and him being that second guy, come playoff time. I didn't think he was particularly great down the stretch. I thought Chet kind of struggled a little bit in this game as well with all of that. I mean, Shai kept him in it as much as he possibly could. And it's just hard defensively to go up against the Clippers. They got a lot of guys. Like in terms of, we were said it, I think last week. I think they're the most talented roster in the league, like up and down. And I think that's one of those things that's hard, and they can kind of keep bringing guys off the bench. My worry for the Thunder is, man, they need another big. I know everybody keeps talking about Dorian Finney-Smith as maybe that's the name I constantly keep hearing people mention. They'd love to see him there. Nah, man, they need a dude that could rebound. They were getting killed.
Need Daniel Tice.
No, they do.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Indiana made a mistake by just buying out Tice. If they waited, they could have gotten an asset for him. And maybe I'm just playing hindsight's 2020 and that stuff. But like a lot of teams could use him, and Oklahoma definitely needs a dude like Daniel Tice. Like they need to go find a guy like that if they're really going to be the team that everybody's talking about in the playoffs.
Do you think that that Chet is wearing down a little bit? I've been actually looking at this week. I've been had a thing I've been writing in my drafts basically since we recorded last week, and Dave talked, I think offhandedly said that Shai is winning Chet the Rookie of the Year award, and just the amount that like the gap has closed in a lot of different metrics between Chet and Wemby just in the last week. As Victor's had some good games and Chet has had a couple of less good ones, has been notable to me.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Dave.
I was going to say, I mean, the rookie wall, this is it's a lot of games, right? And this is more games than Chet has ever maybe played in his life to this point, in any season. And it's his first NBA year, so it wouldn't shock me if he sort of hit a wall. Also, and Mo, you can speak to this. The scouting report has caught up a little bit to him. People are keyed in on him. They're thinking about him now.
I mean, yeah, I think the scouting report, everything Dave said is correct. First off, we're at the Thunder at 40 games. Like that is the most he's probably played in a season, but not counting AAU crappy basketball.
Like 40 in a weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Counting that garbage. But I think it is kind of catching up on him. It is wearing down. Part of it is also he's such an important piece for that offense. Jalen Williams is the second ball handler, but Chet is the second option. And I think that's an important stuff. They're running flare screens for him to start the game and things like that, and ways to kind of get him going. And I think and this is going to be the same for Wemby too, the size, like they do need to get a little stronger. They don't need to be like massively the size of mountains, but they need to get some strength to them because I'm just watching them kind of get pushed around. And I think more on like the defensive glass. And I think that's the stuff there. And I think the beating on a nightly basis is kind of wearing him down. And that's just your body eventually will adjust in 2 or 3 seasons, but that doesn't help them right now.
Yeah, I just did a quick look at the game log, Seth, and this is small sample, but last 10 games versus the first 30 games of the season for Chet. I mean, his 3-point percentage is slightly down, but the rebounds are down a little bit as well. So maybe a little bit of fatigue playing in, but also, man, it's just a physical game. All right.
You just wonder long term, is given how narrow he is he a 5 long term? And like Wemby, I think we all agree we feel like he can carry more weight, more strength on his frame, more easily than Chet. So you just wonder, like, who's the player in the NBA that Chet is most similar build to, and it's Kevin Durant.
Right. Well, and you hope that for these sorts of players that the extra length that they have makes up for the lack of heft. I know for Wemby it does. Like you can see him get put under the basket occasionally, but the long arms really help.
Yeah.
I mean,
Chet is just almost there.
There's
Go
the
ahead,
play.
Mo.
There's the play against their game in Milwaukee, right, where he got that block on Giannis down the stretch. Giannis tried to move him. He actually Wemby absorbed the hit and then came up with the block. This was probably 2 weeks ago, so I am bringing up old shit. But but I think that's kind of the difference there in terms of like that's what Chet has to be able to endure and withstand, and I think that's where his strength is. I think long term, those sets, I do think he has to be able to put on that weight because I do think he has to be a 5.